Recently you mentioned that people sometimes shit their pants on trail. What's that all about? What's up hiking nerds? It's your favorite hiking nerd who talks to a camera and does stupid shit on YouTube. It's me, it's Kyle. Flossie and I were going to go on a hike this week. I was gonna film it. It was gonna be epic. But unfortunately, those plans fell through at the last minute, which kind of left me without a video for the week. So I was like, rather than post just nothing, I'm gonna post the closest thing to nothing, which is just a bullshit Q&A video. But because I did one of these a few weeks ago, I wanted to do it a little bit different this time. So I asked you guys and girls to post like your embarrassing or like stupid or whatever adjective I use in the title kind of questions like that. I got some pretty good ones, some embarrassing ones, some stupid ones that I can see why people might be like afraid to ask them or whatever. I also just got some complete bullshit questions, but that's basically what this channel is all about, so I'm still gonna answer them. Let's just jump right into it. Do you know Dan Becker's OnlyFans account name? Been searching for a while now. I'm guessing it's Dan Becker 69, haha. This is an actual question. How do you not get lost? I feel like such an idiot, but I get lost every trail I go on and have to double back. So I actually got this question a bunch from people, and I can completely understand why you're embarrassed to ask this, because if you get lost, you're a fuck. That being said, I don't really get lost very often. I feel like it's a little bit different depending on where you're hiking to, because here on the East Coast, I feel like it's pretty easy to not get lost because, you know, there's like trees and shit everywhere. So like if you go off the trail, you're just gonna end up running into a tree. So it's easier to stay on trail. I haven't really hiked much out west, but I feel like maybe when you're like above tree line or in an area with less trees, it might be harder to stay on trail. If you're like continuously getting lost, you need to be very, very careful, because obviously that could end up in a dangerous situation. So be careful where you're going. Hike slow, make sure you have a map with you, make sure you know how to use the map. If you have like a GPS or any sort of GPS app, come on, focus. Maybe like Gut Hook, you should be using that continuously, basically, if you're really getting lost this frequently. Maybe it's different for other people, but I found that as I've done more and more hiking, I have developed kind of like an intuitive sense of where the trail's gonna be. And as a result, I very, very rarely get lost because I'm f***ing awesome. Recently you mentioned that people sometimes shit their pants on trail. What's that all about? So I guess I didn't realize how weird that could sound for someone who's never done a thru hike, but it is true. If you do a really long thru hike or just like a long backpacking trip, I'm talking like weeks, months even, there's a good chance you might end up shitting your pants or at least come close to it. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutrition expert, but I think it has something to do with the fact that you're just like doing exercise, like strenuous exercise all day, every day for like multiple days in a row. That coupled with a very weird diet, often a very unhealthy diet, and like intermittent pig out sessions when you're in town and all of a sudden you're just eating way more food than you were eating on trail. Just the things that happen to your body and the food you're putting in your body, it just makes it pretty normal, not normal, but just relatively common for people to have these emergencies, and it's not fun. It's not something that thru hikers are proud of, although I guess we do brag about it sometimes. It happens. Leave a comment if you shat your pants while you're on a hike. Jesus Christ, what is this video? What tips do you have for getting over the fear of solo overnights? Anybody who tells you they've never been scared before, or even just at least a little spooked before while camping overnight by themselves in the backcountry, is a liar. Even to this day, when I camp by myself, I wouldn't say I get scared anymore, but I definitely am a little bit more on edge than I would be otherwise. So that is completely normal. And I hate to say it, but I feel like for some people, you might not really ever get over it like completely. The main thing that I found that helps me just kind of like be at ease while I'm camping by myself is to just listen to like music or a podcast, something like that. Especially with a podcast, it almost feels like there's somebody else there with you, so it kind of keeps your mind off of like the tiny little noises you hear just, you know, when you're out and about in the backcountry. So that kind of drowns out some of the background noise. It just kind of like keeps your mind occupied so you're not bugging out as much. Do you use a pee bottle at night, rinse it with water, and then try to trick Dan Becker into having... What kind of question is that? I mean, it's completely fair given the vibe of my channel, but Damn, that's well, Kyle, what was your most embarrassing moment on trail? So this is something I've never told before because it's really embarrassing and I'm honestly ashamed of it. But if you watch my channel a lot, you always hear about like, oh, when I was 16, like I was so stupid. And this is one of those stories from when I was like really young and honestly one of my first hikes ever. Just a dick move on my part here, folks. I was hiking along and I was drinking a Gatorade bottle, and when I was done the bottle, you're ready, you're gonna hate me for this. I hate me for this. I threw it on the side of the trail. I did. Yeah, but it's okay because I was hiking with some very good friends who, even though they were also just as young and immature as me, apparently they were not quite as immature because they basically looked at me, they're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you littering on a trail like this? And I pretty much immediately felt like a douchebag, and so I went and I grabbed it. I picked it up. I didn't leave it there. Not proud of that, really embarrassing, really ashamed of that one. So smash the like button if you agree that that was a dick move, which you obviously should. So you have to smash like now. That's right, I'm gonna turn this on you. When hitching a ride to town for a resupply while through hiking, do you let the driver get a whiff of your hiker's stank before you accept their offer, or do you just get in and let them instantly regret their decision? Hitchhiking isn't always easy, folks. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the time it's not. And so I'm not gonna like be like, oh yeah, you gotta want to smell me before like you want to, like, no, they already pulled over. Like, if they're not sketchy, if I scope them out real quick and like we agree on where they're gonna take me real quick, I'm getting in that car, I'm going. I don't give a shit if they think I smell bad. They can roll the windows down, they can make me drive or ride in the back or whatever the car. I don't care, just get me to where I'm going. Why do we hate Dan Becker? I'm not saying I don't, just trying to figure out why. Because I'm not that funny, I'm not that creative, and so the only thing I can consistently get people to laugh at is jokes at the expense of Dan Becker. So Dan Becker. How many times have you encountered people enjoying themselves on trail? It's happened 2 times to me, and one guy said he was just making a protein shake, and that stuck with me for about 3 years. Okay, I hope that's a joke. I'm pretty sure that's a joke. If it's not a joke, you should like report them because that's Have you ever personally or known of someone who slipped and fell in their own cat hole? That has never happened to me, and I feel like if that did happen to somebody I know, there is absolutely no way that they, like, why would you tell? Maybe someone would think it's funny, but I feel like for me personally, if that happened to me, which it totally hasn't, I would be too embarrassed to tell anybody, and I think that's the case with most people. If you know someone who that's happened to, or happened to you, and you have bigger balls than I do, leave a comment, and we're all gonna laugh, not with you, but directly at you. Being a fellow gross, sweaty piece of hiking trash, have you had to deal with any chafing? Is hiking commando a thing? Chafing was the #1 pain that I felt on my Appalachian Trail through hike. I've said it 1,000 times, I'm really sweaty, I hate heat, I hate, humidity, all this stuff, and so chafing destroyed me for a good portion of my Appalachian Trail through hike. That was by far like the worst part of the experience, honestly. The thing that sucks is I never found a solution. Throughout the entire hike, like whenever it was happening, I would always try new things. I'm not gonna tell you to hike commando because I don't want you to end up on the sex offenders registry or whatever. I think you just gotta suck it up, or hopefully someone has a solution to this problem and they can leave it in the comments below. When did you learn that it's best to get naked from the waist down to take a boom boom? A boom boom? I've never, is that a normal thing to say, or is Ben just like making shit up? A boom boom? And also, who the f gets naked from, how do you shit while hiking without any embarrassment? I mean, what's there to be embarrassed about? Like assuming nobody is like watching you, you just go where nobody's like looking and then just do what you gotta do. Embarrassingly, I use all trails and suffer the consequences. What navigation app / device do you use? So I definitely like shit on all trails sometimes. I'm not saying like you should never use all trails. Like you can use it in certain circumstances. You just have to make sure that you consult like some other app or some other map, because sometimes the information on all trails is wrong. And that's also the case with other apps as well. There's no universal app that you're gonna be able to use on every single trail in every single area. Although I guess all trails kind of in the name is like trying to be that, but it's not. So it just depends on where you go. I will say, and you've heard this 1,000 times from me and other people, but just make sure you have a paper map and an app. It doesn't matter really what the app is as long as it's good, but you still gotta have a paper map. You gotta have 2 things, and you gotta know how to use both of them as well. How do I stop tripping every 5 seconds? I'm section hiking the LT and have to go so slowly or else I will land flat on my face. I'm using trekking poles, trail runners, and do not stop looking at the ground. Well, I mean, the best way to stop tripping is to just stop taking psychedelic drugs. So if the trekking poles aren't working, I would try that. How do you get your parents to not be nervous about you going on long trips? That's a good question, because sometimes I get comments from people who are like in high school and stuff. And so obviously, like, I was doing backpacking trips by myself and stuff when I was younger like that. Obviously, going with a trusted friend is gonna be something that's gonna like ease your parents' nerves a little bit for sure. And as uncool as it might be, maybe ask your parents to go with you. I'm not even kidding, because if you ask your parents to go with you and show that like, hey, you know, I'm willing to like take you guys out there, or let you take me out there and show you that I'm like responsible enough to look after myself out here, then like they're either gonna go with you and then probably see how responsible you are and be more apt to let you go on trips without them in the future, or you're basically gonna call their bluff and they're at least gonna feel like kind of bad if like they won't let you go without them, but they also aren't willing to go with you. I don't know. It just depends on your parents, but hopefully that's a good place to get you started. If you're watching and you convinced your parents to let you go hiking and you're like younger or whatever, leave a comment and let me know and everybody know what worked. How many times have you cried on trail? Just that one time that I talked about in my last video when I finished the AT, so go watch that if you haven't already. How far off trail do you go to dig your cat hole? Too far and people might think you disappeared. Too close and yeah, we all know what's gonna happen there. I usually go probably further than I even need to like go off, just because I like my privacy. Check the regulations for the area that you are hiking in, because certain areas might have like different regulations. I think a good rule of thumb is like a couple 100 feet. That being said, I don't care if it like technically violates leave no trace. If you are not comfortable like wandering off trail like really far to do this, I think it's much better to play it safe and probably be a little bit closer to the trail than you should. Go as far as you can while still being comfortable with the distance off the trail that you are. Do you ever feel guilt or shame when you slack pack? No, I don't, because I've never actually slack packed before. But if I did, which I didn't. In fact, I even brought my pack up to the summit of Katahdin, which you don't have to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with slack packing. It's much better than yellow blazing at least, so I wouldn't feel any guilt. You're still hiking, you're still moving your body over the length of the trail, like you're good. Don't feel guilty about slack packing. I know these Q&A videos are kind of generic and people seem to like them, I guess, but I'd much rather like make a more like involved, better video. But it's better than nothing, so be sure to subscribe. And I know everybody says that, so let me say, like, you should actually be sure to subscribe. Like, actually do it right now. Like, check, because you might not be subscribed. A lot of the time people think they're subscribed to a channel, but they're not actually subscribed, because YouTube just keeps feeding them the videos anyways. Hit the notification bell. That's something I don't say very often that I probably should. Hit the notification bell, go and unhit it on Dan Becker's channel. Check out the Patreon. Just send me $1 million and I'm gonna retire and you're never gonna hear from me again.